Chosen one. They made everything worse for themselves by pretending you didn't matter, and that denial now keeps them awake. Now watch the reversal. What was delayed returns multiplied. What was built on deception fractures publicly. Stay upright. Stay quiet. You are untouchable. They fall without you lifting a hand. Justice is already in motion. Someone who loved you left you something substantial. Your grandmother, who you cared for when everyone else was busy. Your grandfather, who saw something special in you. That relative, who knew you were different, marked for something greater. They set aside resources with your name written all over them. A house, money in trust, property, life insurance policies, something material meant to be your foundation, your launching pad into the future. But the people with access to those resources saw opportunity instead of responsibility. Those family members looked at your blessing and decided it belonged to them. What was meant to educate you, house you, launch your dreams, they diverted it, they stole it. They used it to build someone else's life, while you built yours from nothing. You grew up feeling something was missing. You watched others suddenly upgrade their lifestyle while you struggled. And when you asked questions, they shut you down. They made you feel greedy for wondering about your own inheritance. Your spirit never fully accepted their story. Something in you always knew. You felt it in your gut when estate matters came up. You sensed their nervousness when certain topics arose. You noticed how quickly they changed conversations when you mentioned specific items or amounts. They were actively stealing what belonged to you, and the gaslighting was perfect. They almost made you believe you were imagining it. When something is truly meant for you, the universe doesn't forget. When a blessing has your name on it, even theft cannot cancel it. They took the money, but your destiny remained. They stole resources, but your anointing stayed intact. They intercepted the earthly inheritance, but they could never touch the spiritual one. Now the scales are balancing. Justice is moving in ways nobody anticipated. Everything they took is about to cost them everything they have. There's someone specific we need to address. The intruder who made it their mission to access what belonged to you alone. This person didn't just steal materially. They violated your energy. They treated your sacred space like a personal playground. They crossed boundaries that should have been obvious. They ignored every sign that said keep out. They pushed past every lock you put in place. This violation came in many forms. Sometimes it was the family member with too many questions about your life. Sometimes it was the friend who wasn't really a friend, smiling while reporting back to your enemies. Sometimes it was even more sinister. They hacked your devices. They went through your mail. They monitored your conversations. They stalked your social media with fake accounts. They turned your life into their research project, and information was the goal. They collected, stored, and weaponized anything that could be used against you. Some of you experienced spiritual violation too. They hired workers. They paid practitioners. They sought out people with abilities to manipulate energy and compensated them. They invested actual money into trying to bind you, confuse you, separate you from your blessings. They put roots on your relationships. They threw obstacles in your path. They tried to make you sick, tired, depressed, anxious. They weaponized the spiritual realm because natural methods weren't working. But here's what every intruder learns eventually. When you violate someone under divine protection, your own boundaries shatter. When you cross into territory not meant for you, you lose peace instead of gaining power. When you steal energy from someone chosen, you deteriorate instead of elevate. The very thing they took became poison in their system. The information they gathered became confusion in their mind. The magic they sent returned to them multiplied. Your intruder is exhausted now. All that spying took a toll nobody anticipated. They can't sleep because guilt doesn't rest. They can't find peace because they destroyed their own to destroy yours. They can't move forward because they're trapped in the web they wove around you. Every thread they spun to catch you became a thread binding them. Every trap they set for you became a trap they fell into. Let's talk about the story they told about you. The carefully crafted narrative designed to make you look unstable, untrustworthy, unworthy. This wasn't just gossip. They built an entire mythology around your character, and they were committed to making people believe it. They took pieces of truth, twisted them into something unrecognizable, then presented their distortion as fact. They weaponized your vulnerabilities. They turned moments of struggle into proof you were broken. They transformed seasons of healing into evidence you were unstable. They labeled you the problem in every situation, the difficult one, the dramatic one, the untrustworthy one. They called your trauma processing instability. They called your appropriate responses to manipulation emotional volatility. They called your clear seeing through games crazy. Every defense you made, they used as proof of their claims. Every upset reaction to their lies, they pointed at as evidence of you being unhinged. The false narrative spread like wildfire because they employed strategy. This wasn't random gossip. They conducted a campaign. They approached family first with planted seeds of doubt. They gave friends concerned warnings. They sent colleagues cautions. They even filled the ears of people you were dating or interested in with poison before you had a chance to show who you really were. Systematic, thorough, determined to destroy your reputation before you knew it was under attack. What made this narrative so insidious was how they mixed lies with truth. They would take something real and blow it completely out of proportion. They stripped away context. They removed nuance. They denied explanation. They presented your worst moment as your entire life. They portrayed rock bottom as your everyday state. They turned one poor reaction to extreme provocation into evidence of constant volatility. Particular cleverness went into making themselves look innocent in the story. They adopted the victim role. They performed the concerned friend act. They portrayed the family member who tried to help but couldn't get through. They acted like your best interest mattered while actively working to ensure your worst. They shed tears over your situation while being the primary cause of it. They expressed worry while being the source of your stress. The performance deserved awards and people believed it because their conviction was total. But false narratives require constant maintenance. Truth just sits there, solid and immovable. Lies need remembering, repeating, reinforcing. Everyone needs to stay on the same page. Nobody can question too deeply or look too closely. Just enough information to condemn, but not so much that inconsistencies appear. Maintaining all that is exhausting. That's why tiredness is setting in now. That's why their story is starting to fall apart. People are beginning to ask questions. Your accuser's life doesn't reflect the virtue they claim. Someone who talks that much about someone else might be the actual problem. You're thriving despite the narrative, and people wonder how someone supposedly so terrible could be doing so well. They see your character up close and compare it to what they were told, and the math isn't working. The narrative is crumbling, and your enemies feel it slipping through fingers that can no longer grip. If this touched your heart and mind, hype this video so more chosen ones can receive this message. An audit is happening in the spiritual realm right now. Every lie they told is being examined. Every violation they committed is being documented. Every theft they executed is being calculated. The universe keeps perfect records, and heaven is pulling those records at this moment. Evidence is being compiled. The verdict has already been decided. Guilty on all counts. Your enemies thought they got away with it. Time passed and nothing happened, so they relaxed. They began to believe their own lies. They convinced themselves that if consequences were coming, they would have already arrived. But they misunderstood how divine timing works. Delayed doesn't mean denied. Not fallen yet doesn't mean not falling. The ground beneath them has been eroding all along. They're just feeling it now. The audit is revealing things even you didn't know. Violations you weren't aware of. Betrayals you didn't catch. People you trusted who were actually reporting to your enemies. Conversations they recorded without your knowledge. Moments they photographed in secret. Evidence they manufactured. Stories they coordinated. The conspiracy against you went deeper than you imagined, but the scope of your vindication matches that depth. Everything they did in darkness is coming into the light. Every lie they whispered is about to be shouted from rooftops. Every agenda they hid is being exposed. Part of this audit involves financial accounting. Remember that inheritance, the stolen money, the diverted resources? Heaven is calculating every penny. Every dollar they took is being counted. Every opportunity they blocked is being valued. Every door they closed is being assessed. The repayment isn't just dollar for dollar. Interest is being added. Multiplication is happening. Divine compensation is turning your restitution into a fortune they could never match. Your enemies are starting to feel the audit in their real lives. Things aren't working the way they used to. Money is tighter, doors are closing, people are distant, opportunities are drying up. They can't figure out why. They're doing everything they used to do, but the results are different. That's because the blessing they were operating under has been revoked. The grace period has ended. The audit has begun. Consequences are manifesting in ways they cannot ignore. Every weapon they formed against you is about to malfunction spectacularly. Not just fail. Malfunction, work in reverse, blow up in their faces, accomplish the exact opposite of what they intended. The traps they designed to catch you are about to trap them. The pits they dug for your destruction are about to swallow them. The swords they sharpened to cut you down are about to turn on them. This backfire started the moment they decided to come against you. They just didn't feel it immediately. Poison takes time to work through the system. Structural cracks in buildings look fine until sudden collapse. They've been building their life on sand, and the tide is coming in. Everything they built using your stolen resources, your blocked blessings, your hindered opportunities, is about to wash away. The spell work they sent is returning to sender. The evil eyes they cast are staring back at them. The manipulation they attempted is tangling them up instead. The confusion they tried to create in your mind is clouding their judgment. Every hex, every curse, every negative intention they sent your way is boomeranging back with multiplied force. They opened doors in the spiritual realm without authority, and now things are coming through those doors they cannot control. Their relationships are backfiring. The people they recruited to help destroy you are turning on them. The allies they thought were loyal are revealing themselves to be opportunists who betray anyone. The person they chose over you is showing true colors, and the colors aren't pretty. Every connection they formed based on shared hatred of you is proving toxic, unstable, ultimately destructive. They built their circle on negativity, and now that negativity is eating them alive from the inside, their careers are backfiring. The positions they schemed to get are becoming nightmares. The businesses they started with your stolen money are failing. The promotions they lied to achieve are bringing unbearable stress. The reputations they built on false pretenses are cracking. Their professional life is reflecting the corruption of their personal character, and people are starting to notice. They can't deliver what they promised. They can't maintain the facade. They're being exposed as frauds in every arena where they claimed expertise. Even their health is backfiring. The stress of maintaining lies is manifesting as physical symptoms. The guilt they won't acknowledge is showing up as sleepless nights, anxiety attacks, mysterious pains. The hatred they carry for you is poisoning their own bodies. The bitterness they harbor is creating literal bitterness in their systems. They're sick in ways doctors cannot quite diagnose because the root cause isn't physical, it's spiritual, it's karmic. It's the natural consequence of carrying darkness they were never meant to hold. The backfire is so complete that everything they tried to prevent is now inevitable. They tried to keep someone from coming to you. That person is on the way now with clarity about you they never had before. They tried to block your money. It's coming from multiple directions they cannot control. They tried to ruin your reputation. It's being restored and elevated beyond what it was before their attack. They tried to dim your light. You're about to shine brighter than you ever have. There was a gathering that happened or is about to happen. A moment where your enemy walks into a room thinking they're safe, thinking they're supported, thinking they're believed. Instead, they walk into their reckoning. All the people they thought they had fooled are in one place, and they've been comparing notes. They've been talking. They've been piecing things together. Now they're ready to confront. The atmosphere shifts the moment your enemy arrives. You can cut the tension with a knife. Eyes that used to be warm are now cold. Smiles that used to greet them are now absent. There's a unified energy in the room that says, we know what you did. We know what you've been saying. We know the truth now, and you're going to answer for it. Someone breaks the silence. Maybe it's one person who's been holding back too long. Maybe it's several people who decided together that today is the day. But questions start coming. Not gentle questions, not curious inquiries. Accusations disguised as questions. Statements wrapped in question marks. Where were you when this happened? Why did you say that about them? How did you get that information? Explain this inconsistency. Clarify this lie. Defend this action. Your enemy tries their usual tactics. They smile. They deflect. They joke. They try to minimize. But nobody's laughing. Nobody's buying it. The room has turned, and they can feel it. They attempt to flip the script, to make themselves the victim, to accuse others of ganging up on them. But the people in this room are prepared for that move. They've seen it before. They're not falling for it this time. More people join in. Someone brings up something from months ago that didn't make sense at the time but makes perfect sense now. Someone else mentions a conversation where your enemy said one thing but did another. Another person pulls out their phone, shows a screenshot, plays a recording. Evidence starts piling up. The lies are being dismantled in real time. The carefully constructed narrative is falling apart with each revelation. Your enemy realizes they're trapped. There's no escape route. No way to charm their way out, no one to save them. They showed up thinking they were in control, and now they're completely exposed. Every person in this room is looking at them differently, not with the respect they're used to, not with the fear they work to cultivate, with disgust, with disappointment, with the kind of disdain reserved for people who show you who they really are, and it's worse than you imagined. The confrontation escalates, voices get louder, truths get harder, your enemy's composure cracks. Maybe they try to leave, but someone blocks the door. Not physically, but energetically. You're not done yet. We're not finished. You don't get to just walk away from this. You made us complicit in your lies. You used us as weapons against someone who didn't deserve it. You manipulated our trust. You owe us answers. You owe them an apology. You owe everyone in this room the truth. Some people are angrier than others. Some feel betrayed. Some feel stupid for believing the lies. Some feel guilty for participating in spreading them. But they're all united in one thing. They're done protecting your enemy. They're done making excuses. They're done pretending they don't see the truth. The shield your enemy hid behind for so long has been removed, and now they're standing there exposed in a way they've never been before. Your enemy leaves that gathering broken. They didn't just lose an argument, they lost credibility, they lost relationships, they lost their reputation. They lost the power they once held over those people, and they know that what happened in that room is just the beginning. Those people are going to talk, they're going to tell others. The truth is going to spread just like the lies did, but faster, because truth has a way of traveling that lies never can. Your enemy thought they were going to a routine gathering. They walked into their own funeral. The person they pretended to be died in that room. I must interrupt this transmission for just a moment. Are you really chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing to put yourself to the test. If you're still here, that means something. But talk is cheap. Real chosen ones take action. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve divine justice. You put on the headphones, press play, and watch your enemies choke on the rope their own lies created. If you're done consuming and ready to prove you're chosen, start your destiny engine for $1 today. Join the Obsidian Inner Order live checks and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. There's someone connected to this story who deserves attention. The person who was meant for you but got derailed. The connection that was supposed to happen but got blocked. The relationship that should have flourished but got poisoned before it could fully bloom. Let's call them your distorted connection. Not because the reality wasn't there, but because what happened between you got twisted, distorted, corrupted by outside interference. But then the interference began. Someone got in their ear. Maybe it was subtle at first. Little comments, casual concerns, questions designed to make them second-guess what they felt. Are you sure about them? Did you know about their past? I heard something concerning. I'm only telling you because I care. The seeds were planted carefully, strategically, by someone who knew exactly how to water them. Your distorted connection started pulling back, not because you did anything wrong, not because the connection wasn't real, but because the interference created doubt. They began questioning their own judgment. Maybe I'm wrong about them. Maybe I'm seeing what I want to see instead of what's really there. Maybe these people warning me know something I don't. Confusion set in, and confusion is a powerful weapon against love. They made a choice. They chose to believe the voices instead of their own spirit. They chose to trust the warnings instead of the actual experience they had with you. They chose fear over faith, safety over risk, the familiar over the unknown. They walked away from you, and something broke in both of you. You felt the loss deeply because you knew what you had was rare. They felt it too, but they convinced themselves they made the right choice. Now they're living with the consequences of that choice. They're in a situation that looked good on paper but feels empty in reality. They're with someone who presented themselves as perfect but is revealing themselves to be problematic. They're discovering that the person who warned them about you is actually everything they claimed you were. The manipulation, the lies, the instability, the drama, it was all projection. It was all the whistleblower revealing their own character while pretending to expose yours. They're waking up now. It's a slow, painful awakening. They're seeing the inconsistencies, they're noticing the red flags they ignored, they're realizing they're in a love triangle they didn't sign up for, or they're discovering a history of exactly what's being done now. Or secrets are starting to surface, or they're understanding that intentions were never pure. The person who said you couldn't be trusted is proving themselves untrustworthy in every way. And in the middle of this awakening, they're thinking about you. They're remembering how different it felt with you, how peaceful, how genuine, how uncomplicated by games and manipulation. They're replaying conversations, looking for signs they missed. They're going through old messages, feeling the sincerity. They're comparing what they had with you to what they have now, and the contrast is stark. What they have now is shinier from the outside. What they had with you was real, and they're finally understanding the difference. The awakening is about to get more intense. They're going to find out something that will shatter their illusions completely. Something about who they're with now. Something about what was done to separate them from you. Something about the depth of the conspiracy against your connection. When they find out, they're going to feel several things at once. Betrayed, stupid, angry, guilty, heartbroken, because they're going to realize they had something real with you and they let it go based on lies. They're going to want to come back. They're going to want to explain. They're going to want to apologize. They're going to want another chance. But here's the question you need to ask yourself. When they show up, and they will show up, are you going to be the same person they left? Are you going to be waiting with open arms? Or are you going to be so healed, so whole, so evolved that they won't even recognize you? Because the you that they hurt is not the you that you are now, and the person you've become might not have space for someone who didn't believe in you when it mattered most. While your enemies were busy plotting your downfall, something interesting was happening. You were rising, not in spite of their attacks, but somehow because of them. Every obstacle they threw in your path forced you to find another way. Every door they closed pushed you toward ones they didn't even know existed. Every lie they told about you made you dig deeper into your truth. They tried to bury you, not knowing you were a seed. Your elevation started internally. You had to do work on yourself that comfortable people never do. You had to face your shadows because they dragged them into the light. You had to strengthen your spirit because they tested it constantly. You had to clarify your values because they tried to make you compromise them. You had to develop discernment because they taught you the hard lesson that everyone smiling isn't your friend. They wanted to break you. They built you instead. The external elevation followed. You started moving differently, carrying yourself with new authority, speaking with new confidence, moving with new purpose. You stopped explaining yourself to people who were determined to misunderstand you. You stopped defending yourself to people who were invested in believing the lies. You stopped proving yourself to people who had already made up their minds. You just started being, and your being was so powerful it needed no explanation. Your enemies are watching this elevation with confusion and rage. How? That's the question burning in their minds. How are you still standing? How are you doing better? How are you glowing when you should be broken? How are you thriving when you should be surviving? How are you at peace when you should be in pieces? They threw everything at you, literal everything. And not only did it not destroy you, it seems to have made you stronger. The math isn't working for them because they don't understand the equation. They don't know about the divine protection factor. They don't know about the chosen one multiplier. They don't know about the favor variable that changes everything. Your elevation is relational. Your circle is upgrading. The people who doubted you are being replaced by people who believe in you. The connections that were severed are being replaced by connections that are stronger. The relationships that were poisoned are dying so new relationships can be born. You're attracting people who match your energy, your values, your vision. People who don't need to be convinced of your worth because they recognize it immediately. People who add to your life instead of depleting it. Your elevation is emotional and spiritual. You're in a place your enemies never thought possible. You're at peace, real peace, not the fake composure that hides turmoil, not the forced positive thinking that masks pain, but genuine peace that comes from walking through hell and coming out refined. You're not bitter, you're better, not angry, aware, not seeking revenge, seeking purpose. Your enemies were your teachers in disguise, and you learned every lesson they unintentionally taught. The elevation continues. It's not stopping, it's accelerating. Every day you're becoming more of who you were always meant to be. Every week brings new evidence of your growth. Every month marks a milestone your enemies said you'd never reach. They tried to write your ending. They didn't realize they were actually writing your beginning. The best part of your story is about to unfold, and they're going to have a front row seat to watch it happen. There's going to be a moment, a public moment, when everyone who doubted you, everyone who believed the lies, everyone who stayed silent when they should have defended you, will see the truth, not whispered in private, not revealed in small circles, public, undeniable, unavoidable, the kind of vindication that makes people who wronged you unable to sleep at night. People are going to apologize, not everyone, but some. The ones with conscience enough to feel shame are going to reach out. Some will do it publicly, trying to save face. Some will do it privately, hoping you'll keep it quiet. Some will try to downplay their role in your persecution. They'll say things like, "I didn't really believe it," or "I was just going along with everyone else," or "I always knew something was off about their story." They're going to rewrite their own role in your suffering, making themselves less culpable than they were. But you're going to remember who stayed silent, who laughed at the jokes made at your expense, who distanced themselves from you when you needed support, who chose the comfort of going along with the crowd over the courage of standing up for truth. You're going to remember all of it. And their apologies, while nice to hear, aren't going to erase what they did. Forgiveness is something you'll give for your own peace, not because they earned it. Your enemies are going to try to control the narrative of their exposure. They're going to attempt damage control. They're going to craft explanations and excuses. They're going to try to minimize what they did or shift blame onto others. They're going to play victim, claiming they were misunderstood or taken out of context. But the truth has a weight that their lies can't match. The evidence has a clarity that their confusion can't cloud. Their attempts to save their reputation are going to fail spectacularly. Some people are going to be shocked. They're going to feel foolish for believing the lies. They're going to wonder how they didn't see it. They're going to question their own judgment. These are the people who truly were deceived, who genuinely didn't know better. They're going to feel guilty for their role, even if it was passive. They're going to want to make it up to you somehow. They're going to become some of your strongest defenders moving forward, overcompensating for their initial blindness. The vindication is going to feel good. It would be dishonest to say otherwise. After being misunderstood, lied about and attacked, having the truth come to light publicly is validating in a deep way. But it's not going to feel as good as you might imagine, because by the time it comes, you'll be so healed and so moved on that you won't need it the way you once did. The vindication is coming more for others than for you. It's for the people who need to see truth. It's for the restoration of order. It's for the balance of justice. But you already know who you are. You don't need the world to confirm it anymore. Your new beginning looks different than you expected. You thought you wanted certain things, certain people, certain outcomes, but going through what you went through changed your desires. It refined your vision. It elevated your standards. What you want now is deeper, more meaningful, more aligned with your true purpose. You're not chasing what society says you should have. You're pursuing what your soul knows you need. There's new love coming, or restored love returning, but either way it's different. This person sees you, really sees you. They appreciate what you went through. They understand what you survived. They don't need your past explained because they recognize your present. They don't question your worth because your value is obvious to them. This connection is going to be easy in a way your previous connections never were. Not perfect, but peaceful. Not without challenges, but without chaos. There's new income coming, multiple streams, creative opportunities, business ventures, partnerships, investments. Money is going to flow to you in ways it never has before, and this money is clean. It's not built on lies or stolen resources or manipulation. It's earned through your gifts. It's attracted by your energy. It's multiplied by your wisdom. You're going to build wealth that lasts, that grows, that blesses not just you but generations after you. There's new respect coming from people who matter, from communities you value, from industries you contribute to. Your name is going to carry weight. Your voice is going to have influence. Your presence is going to command attention. Not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you became someone worth listening to. You paid the price for authority. You earned the right to speak. You developed the character that makes people trust you. There's new purpose coming, a clarity about why you're here, what you're meant to do, who you're meant to help. The suffering you endured is going to become the testimony that heals others. The lies you survived are going to help someone else stand in their truth. The resources you were denied are going to overflow so you can provide for those in similar situations. Your pain had purpose, your struggle had meaning, and now you're going to see the fruit of it in ways that make everything worth it. Your enemies are going to watch this new beginning from a distance. They're not invited. They can't participate. They don't get to benefit from what you build from here. They had access to you once, and they abused it. That door is permanently closed. They might feel regret. They might realize what they lost. They might even try to snake their way back in through mutual connections or fake apologies. But you're protected now, not just by your own discernment, but by divine barriers they can't cross. The beginning is now, not tomorrow, not when certain conditions are met. Now, every day you wake up and choose to move forward is a new beginning. Every boundary you set is a new beginning. Every toxic person you release is a new beginning. Every truth you speak is a new beginning. Every blessing you receive is a new beginning. Every blessing you receive is a new beginning. Every blessing you receive is a new beginning. You're not waiting for a fresh start, you're living it. Your enemies made it worse for themselves when they kept pretending about you. They thought they were executing a perfect plan. They were actually sealing their own fate. They thought they were destroying your future. They were actually ensuring it. They thought they were winning. They were losing everything that mattered. And now you're here, standing, stronger, wiser, more blessed, more free, ready for everything they tried to prevent. Welcome to your new beginning. Walk into it with confidence, with peace, with expectation, with gratitude, with power. Everything you need is already here. Everyone who's meant to be with you is already coming. Every door that's meant to open is already unlocking. Every blessing that has your name on it is already released. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to force it. You just have to receive it. And receiving is your birthright. So receive, fully, completely, unapologetically. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your season. And nobody, not one person who came against you, can stop what God has started in your life. They tried to end your story. They just started your greatest chapter.